didn't talk about it much. I don't know if there's a lot to talk about now. El Paso and Dayton gun violence.
Nothing's gonna change.
To me, it just seems like another day that ends in day.
Right.
It from the outside, I get, all the feelings and negativity and all the problems and the crying and the upsetness of every community that has gone through gun violence on a mass scale. But it just seems like another day. I mean, you're from the outside, we are just hearing all of these things happening.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah. Well, it's not every day, but it feels like every day. It
Yeah.
feels like it's so often. It's like, is it really newsworthy anymore?
Well, and I
think do we hear outside of the United States about a lot of individual shootings?
Not really.
We don't hear that at all. Okay, then
You might hear the guy who went to the salon and shot up the salon.
but that's
and killed
more
5
people.
people.
Right, that's more people. But you don't hear about all of the other gun violence that is just on a daily basis. Right. So we're getting to the point now where mass shootings are becoming like individual shootings where there's so often.
Yep.
Why are we even talking about it? If nobody's going to do anything about it, the politics says that they don't want to do anything about it, so why are we having this conversation?
Right. Yep.
I don't know. It from the outside, it seems just really, really bad. Like, it seems so bad that, I remember being in China and having students say, I was going to the United States and now I'm not going because it seems too dangerous.
Right. My parents are afraid for me.
Today, who's telling a child to go to the United States for education? Who's telling I wouldn't. I'd be like, find a place in Europe.
Canada.
Yeah, find
go to
a whole
Australia.
Canada's great. May not like the weather, but
depending
it's
on
gonna
where you
be
are in the U.S., it
far
might be
safer.
the same.
Well, it might be far safer
Yeah.
than going to the United States. I mean, I don't know if I could promote, as a teacher, promote going to the United States.
Hell, I don't want our kids going to the universities there.
Right. And I really don't know anymore if the United States is leading the world as far as universities are concerned. So, I mean, it kind of seems like maybe not, but maybe it is, because, after looking at my friend in Miami's take on what's going on in education in her area, nothing has moved.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. So the idea that the universities have gotten better over these last 8 years since we left, maybe that's just not
They've
true.
gotten dramatically more expensive.
Yeah, but I don't think the quality of education, the preparing students for, say, the workforce or whatever, I don't think that's gotten any better. It might be the same, but
right.
I don't think it's gotten all that much better. So why make that choice? Why make that choice for that expensive education when you could go somewhere else and get
right.
the same education, the same job,
mm-hmm.
and less or no debt? Why not make that decision? And I think Americans are going to have to start to take a hard look at that.
Well, I was reading an article this week because it caught my eye because it said something about game designers and programmers and all these other computer type professions, and that's what Erin is looking into, doing art for game design. And it was saying that more and more foreign students are heading to China to these international universities like Wuhan University because the tuition is so cheap and sometimes free just because they want the foreigners there. So I think the Wuhan was mentioned in their art department, and I've been to that campus. I've seen the huge international community there, and the price for Wuhan University is like less than $3,000 a year.
Yeah, but do you really want to go to China? Because the other stuff that you're going to have to learn to get that degree is going to be a lot of BS.
Yeah. But
I mean, I guess it's just a matter of, do you want to do that? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be educated in a Chinese anything.
I don't know that it would be bad if it was something specific.
Yeah, but you don't do specific only in a university.
Well,
you do all that other stuff, all that general ed type stuff.
You do not in China.
They do their propaganda of history and
yeah,
all. They do that stuff.
The foreigners don't take that stuff.
Yes, they do.
No.
Yes, they do. They do take some of those classes. Yeah, they're there. They're taking. I mean, it's still a university. It's not a trade school.
Well,
a trade school would eliminate all of those.
A lot of the universities are getting rid of that liberal arts focus.
Yeah, well, isn't that a problem though?
It is. I mean,
to not have an umbrella of information that your students are learning about many different aspects of life, and not just specifically your thing.
I don't know that that's a good thing.
I mean, for a 2-year degree, I would say go, like trade school or whatever. 2-year degree, go headstrong into your thing and do none of that other stuff.
Because why do I need advanced math classes for early childhood development?
You don't need advanced math, but you may need math. Like you need a basic level.
But why do I need more than what I have?
No, I'm saying there's an umbrella that is the basics. You need a little bit of biology, you need a little bit of math, you need a little bit of these things. That's what makes liberal arts, right?
But to get into a university, you have to have a certain level of those already.
Yeah, but you don't have to be good at it.
But why do I need to take all that other stuff if
I would say in a liberal arts education, you want to be able... I mean, there's the idea of the Renaissance man.
Yes,
the thing that I was taught, but I know it's not because
But that
I can sit down and talk with anybody about anything. The only reason I can do that is because of that type of thinking in the universities and in the secondary ed.
Look at the kid's godmother. She went to University of Michigan and studied photography. She only studied photography. She didn't have all that other stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think that we want to take, if we're going to do that as a society or as a world culture around education, I don't think that that's going to serve people well, because now you're going to push out, all universities will become trade schools. And then why would you ever take anything that you don't want to take? That's the problem that we have with, like, say, millennials today. They're all in their lane and they stay there and they don't know what's happening next door. That's happening in the news. It's happening in what they're looking at on YouTube. It's happening in what they're dealing with in, say, a podcast or in Facebook, the news. Instagram. Exactly. Everybody stays in, and you can't have a society that way, because if you do, the society, sure, everybody does their little niche, but what if you can't get that job in your niche? Yeah. Then you can't get the job in the next niche, because you have to now go back to school to just learn that. It's like going to school. I'm only going to be an electrician. I learned nothing but electricity, and now there's plenty of jobs for plumbers and you can't get one. Yeah. No, you can't do that.
Well, Aaron had a conversation with Frank this week, and I had to ask him to just stop, because he was getting so angry. Frank is preparing to go to university, and he doesn't really know what he wants to do. But in China, it's not an option to start out the first 2 years with an undeclared major and then blah, blah, blah. Change. So Aaron's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I guess I'm just going to do this thing. And he's like, but what if that's not what you want to do later? And he's like, well, I'll find out when I start working.
Yep.
And Aaron's like, that's not how that works, man. You got to think about the things that you enjoy, the things that you want to do. And Aaron was getting really frustrated.
But that's how it works in China.
That's what I said. I'm like, Aaron, you have to stop. You are asking him to do something that he's never been asked to do before. He's never been asked to consider, what do you like? What do you want to do?
Well, that's not true.
What makes you happy?
That's not true. That's not true.
He's been told.
That's not true. That's not true. Because I taught him.
Yes, but...
And I did those very questions back then, and he was in junior high school.
Yes, but that's...
Well, you can't say he's never been asked, because I did
in his world, his current world, that's not something that's expected. His expectations
You're right, but
are...
he has had that brought up to him to think about, because he wasn't, even back then, was never planning to go to school in China.
Yeah, and now he has to.
Right, so if he wasn't planning to go to school in China, he was asked those questions to consider all of those things back then, so that he was far ahead of his classmates in that thought process. Yep. So, and Aaron also knows that. So there is something there about, he should be a little more ahead of the game.
Well, and I think that Aaron pushing him is helpful to Frank, because that's how they work in that culture. But I needed him to stop, because he was getting so angry, and he doesn't really have a right to be angry. This is Frank's choice of education. This is Frank's choice of...
But isn't he angry about the choice?
No, he's angry that Frank is not choosing, that he is being told what he should do.
But isn't that what a friend is supposed to do?
It is, but there are ways that you can do it so that they hear you, and ways...
You cannot do the whole feet and table and...
There are ways that you do it that turns them off. And what he was doing was turning him off.
Isn't that what friends do?
No.
Yes. You've had friends that haven't talked to you for like months.
Yeah.
That is what friends do. I don't think... I mean, I'm not saying that you were wrong, but I'm saying that that's just a normal part of being friends, is looking at what your friend is doing and going, are you sure that's really what you want? And to kick it around.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's wrong. I think he has to have more of a open understanding of what Frank is looking at, as opposed to what he's looking at. Because what he's looking at is something totally different, where we are saying to him, what is it that you want to do? And then go for that.
Right.
But that's just not part of the culture in China. That's never...
No.
That's just not it. How many people... I don't know how many students I had that were at university that then went and said, I'm studying this thing, I don't want to study this thing, I want to study this other thing, but my parents made me choose this thing, and then when I get done, I'm going to go get a job in this field that I don't like and I don't want to be in, to then support my parents.
Yep.
And I don't have any choices. And then when their parents die, or their parents are not dependent on them anymore, which is usually death in China, then all of a sudden, then those same people are now in their 40s and 50s.
And they can't go back to university.
No, they can't go back to university, but they now want to stop doing what they're doing to go do the other thing, or go to do something else that they found along the way that was more interesting. And that's why you get a 50, 60-year-old person in the park playing the saxophone.
Oh.
That's why you get that.
Frank's
because
dad is a prime example. His parents pushed him into Western medicine. His dad is a doctor. And when, I don't know, I want to say he was 40-something, he decided, I want to learn traditional medicine. And he found someone who was willing to teach him traditional medicine. And so he was head first into learning all the acupuncture and acupressure and blah, 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 because that's what he'd always wanted to do. And then the Chinese government sent him to Yemen, and he had to stop studying. And then the Chinese government had to rescue his ass from Yemen.
Right.
So and shipped him off somewhere else, so he couldn't continue. And it's all because his parents said, you have to do it this way, and we don't want you to do it the other way.
That's the culture.
Mm-hmm.
The parents make the decision, just like in, say, getting married. It's the family that makes that decision.
And having a baby.
It's that's the culture that they live in.
Yep.
That's the culture. I mean, at some level, you got to say they choose to acquiesce. Okay, that's your choice. You go do your thing.
Right.
I don't know. Something to think about. Quiet the voices. All right, I got nothing else. You got anything else?
No.
All right, we're right on time. Ooh, right on time. All right, so if you want to find the Traveling Farrs, you can find us on the YouTube, the Facebook, the Pinterest, the iTunes, the Spotify, and the Google Podcast at The Traveling Farrs. If you like the Instagram or the Twitter, we are Traveling Fars. If you like email, travelingfars@gmail.com, and the blog space, the travelingfars.blueberry.net. No E's in the blueberry. I think we need to do shout outs to the different countries that download our podcast. We should do a shout out. I have to figure out what they are, but they're kind of there's some people out there listening to us from interesting places. The further I am away, the longer the camera will last.
Jeez Louise.
Right?
No, you're very handsome.
Just think about other people.
Bye, people.